Hello, hello, hello. Today's video is about the most essential factor about breast cancer that can save your life or maybe of someone that you love. But it's something that's misunderstood by many physicians. It's a factor that can not only prevent but also save the life of someone who already has a diagnosis of breast cancer. I'm Dr. Manon Fielding with Holistic Hormone Solutions, and I've been a holistic physician for about 30 years now. I specialize today in working with women from menopause and beyond using holistic methods that combine the latest scientific research with spiritual, lifestyle, and natural medicinal solutions. So I'm not only going to discuss today what this factor is, but I'm going to go a little bit over the research and how you can correct it in yourself. So stay tuned to the end so you can get all the essential information you need for your well-being. So the factor is vitamin D, but it's not just about vitamin D. It's about, do you have enough? And because vitamin D has so many functions, and as we go into menopause and beyond, we actually need it so much more than we did before because of all the different things that it does for us. And it kind of takes the place of, to some extent, of the loss in estrogen. So because the estrogen goes down, it becomes more important for us to have a higher level of vitamin D. And the important thing is knowing how much, knowing when you're deficient, and knowing that you have enough. And that's what we're going to talk about. So one of the myths is that you can take too much and get kidney stones. That just is not true. You have to take so much beyond the normal level for that to happen. So that is a myth. It's also a myth that you're going to get enough from if you drink milk or fortified cereals that you get and go out in the sun that you'll get enough vitamin D. No, that just is not true. It may have been true when you were 20. It's not true when you're in your 50s. And also, even though it's a fat soluble vitamin, it is not accessible to us in our fat. So let's talk a little bit about what some of the deficiency signs are that will show us what some of the things that we're getting out of vitamin D and why we need more. And then we're going to go into a little bit more about how to know if you have enough to prevent breast cancer and other cancers, breast cancer being the one we're talking about today. I'm going to go over a few deficiency symptoms of not having enough vitamin D. So if you have any of these, you definitely don't have enough to protect against breast cancer. The first one is immune system. So if you get frequently sick or if you had COVID one or more times, then you probably are deficient in enough vitamin D for this type of protection. Personally, my vitamin D level was really high, which I'll go into in just a minute. And I never got COVID, never have had it, been around it quite a bit as a professional in my office and in other surroundings, and have never gotten it. So this is definitely one sign. There are multiple studies that have demonstrated that people who have depression often have very low levels of vitamin D. And this is especially true in menopause, that there can be many depressive episodes. And I guess part of the reason, the same thing that we're talking about with breast cancer, is that vitamin D does so much that when we hit our 50s, we just need more than we might have before. And we thought we were getting enough, and we're just not getting enough for optimal wellness. And how about in the musculoskeletal system? You might experience low back pain, muscle weakness. And many women I see in their 50, 60 range, they could experience bone fractures like in the ankle, the hip, the wrist, maybe breaking a fall, trip over something. And it's very common to experience a fracture if you are not at the optimal levels of vitamin D. Here are a few that actually may surprise you. I know that when I first learned this, it kind of surprised me. But vitamin D is also involved in the hair cycle, and a deficiency in vitamin D can be involved in hair loss that occurs especially during menopause. Also, it can be responsible for weight gain and may explain one of the reasons why women that are significantly overweight have low vitamin D level, and UTIs and incontinence, because vitamin D helps to produce natural antibiotics. And when we are deficient, it really affects the urinary tract. It just seems to have an affinity for getting an infections in that area and causing incontinence and pelvic floor dysfunction because of the muscle weakness that we talked about, and UTIs. So these are some of the things that are involved with vitamin D deficiency, and the reason why we have an added need in this period of time. So let's talk about what levels are optimal so that we can have enough for all of these functions as well as preventing breast cancer. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to find out what the optimal levels are to perform all the functions that we talked about and prevent breast cancer. And then I'm going to show you how to figure out how to get to that optimal level if you're not at that level now, or you don't know what your levels are. So here I want to highlight this part of the graph right here, 60 to 80. And you notice how the line goes way down in that at the 60 to 80 mark, and that it talks about how there is an 82% lower rate at vitamin D levels over that 60 mark. So when it hits this mark here, that is when the levels significantly of breast cancer go down. And like I said also, it does help to prevent death from breast cancer when you get your levels up, even after a diagnosis. All right, that's pretty exciting, I think, and I don't think it's enough that most of us have learned to take enough. When I was going through menopause, my levels were like, I think it was 15 to 20. I mean, because I had been in school and working in my practice. I never got outside, didn't get any vitamin D from sun, in addition to not taking any. And it took some time for me to get my levels up to that level. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm one of the few people I know that never got COVID. I definitely never had any kind of cancer. And I do think that having my vitamin D levels at the level of the closer to 80 has really helped my life significantly, and I want to share that with you. So let's find out how we can get you to those levels. Okay, so what you can do to make sure that you're at the right levels is do a vitamin D calculation. Go to the www.grassrootshealth.net/project/decalculator, and I will put this in the description, and it will ask you a couple of pieces of information so you can calculate where you are now and where you want to go, how high you want it to go, and it'll tell you how much you need to take per day for how long to get there. You can also order a test, which I definitely recommend if you don't know what your levels are right now. You can order it through their site, or you can contact us through menopause.askmeanythingaging.com, and we can do your hormonal testing and vitamin D testing together at the same time, which is really probably the best idea. But anyway, I'll put both of those in the description, and I hope you have a happy, healthy day. Be sure to like and subscribe so you get the latest information that we're sharing with you, latest and greatest scientific information. All right, have a great day. See you on the other side.